3 days passed before the Earth response ship arrived. Susan spent this time learning about the Xenorians and helping them understand humans. Commander Kira proved to be a quick study, absorbing information about Earth culture with remarkable speed. The rest of the Xenorian crew gradually warmed to Susan after initial suspicion. Lara, the ship's medical officer, was particularly interested in human biology. She towered over Susan like all her kind, but had a gentler demeanor than the warrior's human. Bodies are so fragile, Lara commented as she scanned Susan with a handheld device that emitted a soft purple light. Yet you survive in environments that would kill many species. How curious, Susan smiled. Sometimes being smaller and more flexible has advantages. We adapt quickly. The device in Lara's hand beeped and displayed symbols Susan couldn't read. The alien medic looked surprised. Your cellular structure can repair significant damage. Your species evolved strong healing abilities. Impressive, Susan. Learned that the Xenorian crew consisted of 7 females, all selected for their skills in different areas. Commander Kira led them with Lara, as medical officer Tella handled engineering. Nari was the weapons specialist, Vex served as pilot, Zora managed communications, and Kayla was their scientist on Xenoria. The aliens explained females were naturally larger and stronger than males. Males were rare and valued for their genetic diversity, but were kept in protected environments, Susan found. The reversal of typical Earth gender dynamics fascinating. The Xenorians were equally intrigued by human society. You allow your breeding males to fight in wars, Commander Kira asked incredulously. This seems wasteful. Susan tried to explain gender equality, but the concept seemed alien to the Xenorians. Their society had evolved differently with clear biological distinctions that shaped their culture. The Earth response ship arrived on the 4th day. Susan watched anxiously as it landed a safe distance from the Xenorian vessel. The ship bore the Earth Space Agency logo and was clearly armed, a fact that did not escape Commander Kira's notice. Your people come with weapons, she observed her posture. Stiffening, standard procedure, Susan assured her. I will speak with them first. Make sure they understand you're not a threat. The airlock of the Earth ship opened and 3 figures in spacesuits emerged. Susan recognized the lead figure immediately, even in the bulky suit. It was Mary, Collins' chief medical officer for the Europa sector and Susan's friend from training. Susan met the Earth team halfway across the ice. Mary removed her helmet, her expression a mixture of shock and amazement. Susan, what in the world is going on? The readings were off the charts. Susan explained quickly about the crashed Xenorian ship and her first contact. Mary listened with professional interest, though the 2 security officers flanking her kept their hands near their weapons. You need to come with us right now, Mary said when Susan finished. Protocol for first contact is clear. All personnel must be quarantined and debriefed. Susan shook her head. I can't leave them. They need our help. Their ship is damaged. Mary looked past Susan at the towering blue aliens who watched from a distance. Those beings are not your responsibility. The agency will handle this. Susan stood her ground. They're refugees. Mary, their world is dying. They mean no harm. Mary sighed. You always were stubborn. She activated her comlink. Captain, this is Collins. The situation is stable but complex. Request permission to establish diplomatic contact rather than immediate quarantine. After a tense pause, the reply came. Permission granted, Collins, but keep security protocols in place. Susan felt relief wash over her as Mary agreed to meet Commander Kira. The introduction was awkward but peaceful. The Xenorian leader towered over the human medical officer, but Mary showed no fear. Your species is small but brave, Commander, Kira observed. Mary managed to smile. We're full of surprises. Over the next few days, more Earth personnel arrived. A temporary base was established near the research station. Susan served as the primary liaison between humans and Xenorians, helping bridge cultural misunderstandings. Mary and Lara developed a professional relationship, sharing medical knowledge. Though Earth medicine was primitive compared to Xenorian technology, Mary offered insights into human biology that fascinated the alien medic. Susan was present when Mary first examined Xenorian physiological data. 4 hearts, the doctor exclaimed, looking at the scan results, and a triple-layered nervous system. Lara seemed equally impressed by human adaptability. Your species survives with such limited redundancy, one heart, one liver. Remarkable. Not everything went smoothly. Diane Fletcher, head of security, arrived with reinforcements and immediately pushed for stricter protocols. The aliens should be contained, she argued. Their technology, secured. Susan found herself constantly mediating between Diane's security concerns and the Xenorians' growing frustration. Commander Kira particularly disliked the security chief. Your Diane Fletcher sees threats where none exist, the commander told Susan one evening as they watched Earth personnel setting up scanning equipment around the alien ship. On Xenoria, such fearfulness would disqualify one from leadership. Susan tried to explain, she's doing her job protecting Earth from potential dangers. Commander, Kira made a sound that Susan had come to recognize as skepticism. Your people fear what they do not understand. This is a primitive response. The situation grew more tense when Diane ordered armed guards to monitor the Xenorians' ship repairs. Susan found Commander Kira and her crew in a defensive formation outside their vessel, facing off against the human security team. What's happening here? Susan demanded, pushing through the line of guards. Diane turned to her. Your alien friends were accessing restricted equipment. They were repairing their communications array. Susan countered. Something they told us about yesterday. I don't trust them. Diane said, her hand resting on her weapon. They could be calling for reinforcements. Commander Kira stepped forward, her imposing height making several guards step back. If we wished to harm you, we would have done so already, she stated. Your weapons are primitive. Your defense is inadequate. Susan quickly stepped between them. This isn't helping, she said to both leaders. Commander, your people agreed to coordinate repairs with our team. She turned to Diane, and we agreed to provide assistance, not intimidation. The standoff ended without violence, but Susan worried about the fragile peace she was trying to maintain. If only she could make both sides understand what was at stake. A breakthrough came from an unexpected source. 2 days later, a supply ship arrived bringing Patricia Wilson. Earth Space Agency's top xenolinguist, Patricia had studied the communication data Susan had sent and was eager to meet the aliens. Unlike Diane, Patricia approached the Xenorians with open curiosity and respect. She worked with Zora, the alien communications officer, to develop a more sophisticated translation system. Within days, they had created a comprehensive language database that greatly improved understanding between the species. Susan watched as Patricia and Zora worked side by side. Despite their physical differences, the human woman barely reached the alien's shoulder, yet they found common ground in the patterns of language bridges worlds. Patricia explained to Susan one evening, showing her the complex algorithms they'd developed. Every translation brings us closer to understanding. With better communication came greater trust. Commander Kira began sharing more information about Xenoria and their journey. They had traveled for nearly 20 Earth years in cryosleep, searching for a habitable world. Their ship had malfunctioned, passing Jupiter, causing them to crash on Europa. We are the last exploration team, the commander revealed. Our main colony ships wait beyond your solar system for our signal. If we find a suitable world, they will come. This information alarmed Diane. How many Xenorians are on these colony ships? Commander Kira seemed to understand the concern. Approximately 30,000. Our species faces extinction. We seek only a new home, not conquest. Susan saw the fear in many human faces at this news. But she also saw opportunity. Humans had technology and resources that could help the Xenorians, and the aliens had advanced knowledge that could benefit Earth. Perhaps there is a solution that helps both our peoples. Susan suggested to Commander Kira and the growing team of Earth representatives. We could work together, find an uninhabited planet suitable for Xenorian physiology. Patricia supported the idea enthusiastically. Humans have mapped hundreds of potentially habitable worlds. We could share this. Data. Commander Kira considered the offer. Your species offers help without guarantee of return. This is unusual in our experience. Susan smiled. It's who we are at our best. We see the universe as a place for cooperation, not just competition, as the second week of contact progressed. More specialists arrived from Earth scientists, engineers, diplomats, all eager to learn from the Xenorians. Susan found herself increasingly pushed to the background as official channels took over. She was sitting alone, in her small quarters when Commander Kira ducked through the doorway. The alien leader had to bend significantly to fit in the human-sized room. "They are replacing you as liaison," the commander stated bluntly. "This displeases me." Susan nodded. "The proper authorities are taking over. I'm just a research scientist." Commander Kira tilted her head. All 4 eyes focused on Susan. "You are more than that. You are the first human to extend friendship without fear. Your people would be wise to listen to you." Susan felt a warmth at the alien's words. "Thank you, but this is bigger than me now. It's about our species' future." The alien commander nodded. "You understand the greater purpose, a shared trait between us." Susan Blackwell stared at the strange readings on her monitor. The ice of Europa cracked and groaned outside her small research station. Something was moving beneath the frozen surface, and it was big. Susan had been stationed on Jupiter's moon for 6 months now. Her job was simple: collect data about the subsurface ocean and report back to Earth Space Agency. She had chosen this isolated post to escape the noise of Earth, and the painful memories of her broken engagement to Sam, the station, shook violently, knocking Susan off her chair. A warning siren blared through the small habitat. Alert: unknown thermal signature detected beneath ice layer. Alert: emergency protocols activated. Susan scrambled to her feet and rushed to the observation window. What she saw made her freeze in shock. The ice was glowing a brilliant blue color, growing brighter with each passing second. Then, with a thunderous crack, the surface split open. Susan grabbed her emergency suit and oxygen pack if she needed. To evacuate, she would be ready. But curiosity kept her watching as something massive emerged from the icy depths. It was a ship, unlike anything humans had ever built. Its surface shimmered with an iridescent material that seemed to shift colors as it rose higher. Steam billowed around it as the ice melted away from its hull. Susan activated the emergency beacon. This would alert Earth to the situation, but help was days away at best. She was on her own. The alien vessel settled on the ice, its engines powering down. A tense silence followed. Susan held her breath, waiting to see what would happen next. Her hand hovered over the emergency evacuation button. A section of the ship slid open noiselessly. A ramp extended down to the ice, and a tall figure emerged. Susan gasped at the sight. The being stood at least 7 feet tall, with blue skin that matched the ship's hull. 4 eyes blinked in sequence, arranged in a diamond pattern on a face that was almost but not quite human. The alien was clearly female despite her towering height. She wore what appeared to be some kind of armor that hugged her athletic frame. Her 6-fingered hands held no weapons, but Susan remained cautious. 6 more aliens emerged behind the first, all female, all with similar builds, though their skin tones varied from deep blue to purple. The leader for Susan assumed the first must be in charge, surveyed the icy landscape before her gaze settled on the human research station. Susan made a decision that would change the course of human history. Instead of hiding or running, she approached the airlock. She would make contact. She would be brave. The station's outer door slid open, and Susan stepped onto the ice of Europa, her breath creating clouds in her helmet's visor. She walked slowly toward the aliens, her hands visible and empty, trying to project peaceful intentions. The leader of the aliens watched her approach with all 4 eyes blinking in different patterns. Susan wondered if this was their way of communicating. The tall being took several steps forward, meeting Susan halfway. Up close, the alien was even more imposing. Her skin had subtle patterns that seemed to shift like oil on water. Susan noticed a device attached to the alien's throat. It hummed softly. Susan spoke carefully. "My name is Susan Blackwell. I am a human from planet Earth." She gestured to herself, then pointed to the distant speck of blue that was barely visible from Europa. "I come in peace." The alien tilted her head, then touched the device at her throat. It glowed briefly and then the alien spoke. Her voice was melodic with an electronic undertone that suggested translation technology. I am Commander Kira of the Xenorian exploration vessel, Starseeker. We did not expect to find intelligent life on this moon. Susan felt a surge of excitement mixed with fear. They could understand her. They had technology that could translate language instantly. This confirmed they were far more advanced than humans we are. Not from this moon, Susan explained, pointing at the research station. That is my temporary home. I study this place for my people. Our main world is Earth, Commander. Kira nodded, her upper eyes narrowing while her lower ones remained wide. An interesting biological feature that allowed them to focus on different things simultaneously. Susan guessed our ship is damaged, the alien commander explained. We crashed through the ice after a malfunction in our navigation system. We have been traveling for many of your years in search of a new home. Susan processed this information. They were refugees, not invaders. This changed everything. Our sun is dying. Commander Kira continued. Our world, Xenoria, will soon be uninhabitable. We seek a planet where our people can survive. Susan felt a wave of empathy for these beings. Despite their intimidating appearance and advanced technology, they were ultimately just trying to survive just like humans. I may be able to help you, Susan offered, though I am just one human and not a representative of my entire species. I have some engineering skills. Commander Kira studied Susan with all four eyes now focused intently. Why would you help us? You do not know our intentions. Susan considered her answer carefully, finding the right words. Because that's what humans do when they meet others in need. We help if we can. It's who we are at our best. This seemed to surprise the alien commander. Her posture shifted subtly, becoming less guarded. You are either very wise or very foolish little human, but we accept your assistance. Susan led Commander Kira toward the research station while the other aliens began work on their damaged vessel. As they walked across the ice, Susan felt the weight of the moment. She was the first human to make contact with an intelligent alien species. Everything would change now, inside the station. Commander Kira ducked to avoid hitting her head on the ceiling designed for human heights. She examined the simple technology with what seemed like amused interest. Primitive but functional, she commented. Susan activated her communication array. I need to inform my people about you. They will want to send representatives. Commander Kira tensed. Are your people peaceful? Will they respond with weapons? Susan wanted to say no immediately, but honesty compelled her to be truthful. Some might be afraid at first, but others will want to learn and understand like me. I believe we can ensure a peaceful meeting. The alien commander considered. We have encountered other species in our travels. Some reacted with fear and aggression. It did not end well for them. Susan felt a chill at the implied warning, but stood her ground. Humans can be better than that. I will help make sure of it. As night fell on Europa, the damaged alien ship glowed softly on the ice. Susan and Commander Kira worked side by side, attempting to establish better communication. Between them, they modified Susan's translation software to interface with the aliens. More advanced system, tell me of your world, Commander Kira asked as they worked. Her four eyes blinked in sequence, showing curiosity. Susan described Earth, its oceans and forests, its cities and people. She explained human society as best she could, aware that she was now humanity's first ambassador to an alien species. Commander Kira listened with interest. Your species is young but adaptable, she observed. On Xenoria, females are the dominant gender. Males are precious and protected for breeding. Does Earth function similarly? Susan laughed softly. No. We have more equality, though it's taken us time to develop that, and we're still working on it. The alien seemed puzzled by this concept. Interesting. Your species' biology is inefficient, yet you survive. This suggests other strengths. Before Susan could respond, the communication array beeped a message from Earth Space Agency. They had detected the alien ship and were sending a response team. Susan took a deep breath. Everything was about to change. The arrival of the official Earth delegation changed everything. A large transport ship landed bringing diplomats, scientists, and military personnel. Susan watched with mixed emotions as the small research outpost transformed into a bustling international. Base Olivia Bennett, the lead diplomat, was a sharp-minded woman with decades of international negotiation experience. Her first meeting with Commander Kira was broadcast back to Earth, marking humanity's official first contact with alien life. Susan sat in the back of the makeshift conference room as Olivia and Commander Kira exchanged formal greetings. The human diplomat was skilled, smooth, and careful with her words, but Susan noticed how she subtly established boundaries on behalf of Earth. "I welcome you to our solar system," Olivia said. "We hope to establish peaceful relations between our peoples." Commander Kira stood nearly 2 feet taller than the human diplomat, her blue skin contrasting with Olivia's dark suit. The Zenorian leader maintained an imposing presence despite her efforts to appear less threatening. "We seek only temporary sanctuary and assistance," Commander Kira replied. "Our goal remains finding a suitable uninhabited world for our colony." The discussions that followed were tense but productive. Earth representatives were particularly interested in Zenorian technology, especially their faster-than-light travel capabilities. The aliens had managed interstellar travel, something humans had only dreamed of. In exchange, the Earth delegation offered astronomical data on potential habitable planets outside the solar system. The Zenorians needed a world with specific atmospheric conditions and gravity parameters, conditions that were rare but not impossible to find. Susan found herself increasingly sidelined as specialists took over different aspects of the communication. Military officers examined the Zenorian ship with Tella the engineer, while Earth scientists conducted exchanges with Kayla the Zenorian scientist. One evening, Susan found Lara the Zenorian medic sitting alone outside the base, gazing up at Jupiter, which filled much of the sky. The alien noticed her approach and gestured for Susan to join her. "Your people are efficient but distrustful," Lara observed. "Many tests, many questions, but little genuine connection." Susan sighed. "This is how humans handle uncertainty. We gather data. We assess risk." Lara made a sound that Susan had come to recognize as something like laughter. "Your kind reminds me of the Vexaria species we encountered 2 centuries ago. They too approached the universe as a puzzle to be solved rather than experienced. They are extinct now." Susan looked up sharply. "What happened to them?" "They solved themselves into isolation," Lara said. "Simply, they understood everything except how to connect with others." The conversation left Susan unsettled. She sought out Commander Kira the next day, finding the alien leader reviewing star charts with several Earth astronomers. "Commander, may I speak with you privately?" Susan asked. The Zenorian nodded and followed Susan to a quiet corner of the base. "Your diplomats are skilled, but their hearts are guarded," the commander said before Susan could speak. "They offer help while preparing for conflict." Susan couldn't deny this. Earth governments were simultaneously planning for peaceful exchange and possible defense. The militaries of major nations had been placed on high alert despite the public message of welcome. "The Zenorians' colony ships, what are their capabilities?" Susan asked directly. "Would they be seen as a threat if they entered our solar system?" Commander Kira studied Susan with all 4 eyes. "They are generation ships, not warships. But yes, they contain technology. Your military would consider dangerous. We have defended ourselves against hostile species in our travels." Susan appreciated the honesty. "Then we need to find your people a home elsewhere." "Commander, the longer your people stay in our system, the more nervous Earth will become." The alien commander placed a 6-fingered hand on Susan's shoulder, a gesture she'd learned from humans. "Your wisdom exceeds many of your leaders. Susan Blackwell, we have no desire for conflict." Their conversation was interrupted by alarms blaring. Throughout the base, Susan rushed to the command center where screens showed a new ship approaching Europa. This one bearing Chinese insignia. The United States, India, and European Union representatives already at the base watched tensely as the Chinese ship established orbit. The international politics of Earth were now complicating the already delicate first contact. Susan found Mary in the medical lab where she was comparing human and Xenorian genetic samples. "What's happening?" she asked. Mary looked. Up from her microscope, the Chinese are demanding equal access to the aliens. "Every nation wants a piece of this, Susan. It's not just about peaceful contact anymore. It's about who gets alien technology first." Susan felt her heart sink. This is exactly what I was afraid of. The situation deteriorated further when Russian and Japanese ships arrived the following day. Each nation sent their own diplomatic team, each making separate overtures to the Xenorians. Commander Kira and her crew watched with growing concern as humans argued amongst themselves. During a particularly heated exchange between the American and Chinese representatives, Commander Kira suddenly stood silencing the room with her imposing presence. "Your species fractures itself into competing tribes," she observed. "We encountered this behavior in primitive societies. It typically precedes extinction." The blunt assessment sent a chill through the room. Olivia tried to smooth things over. "This is simply how our global governance works. Commander, different nations have different interests." Commander Kira fixed all four eyes on the human diplomat. "Different interests, but one planet, one future. Xenoria once had similar divisions. They did not survive. Our sun did not care about borders when it began to die." The alien commander's words had an unexpected effect. The human representatives looked at each other with new awareness. The Xenorians offered perspective that transcended national interests. They had witnessed the extinction of civilizations, perhaps even their own. That evening, Susan found Olivia sitting alone in the mess hall. The diplomat looked tired, the weight of her responsibility evident in her posture. "They make us look foolish," Olivia admitted. "When they look at us, they see children squabbling over toys while the house burns." Susan sat across from her. "That's why this is so important. This isn't just about helping the Xenorians. It's about helping ourselves grow up as a species." Olivia studied Susan for a long moment. "You were right to make contact the way you did," she said finally. "Direct, honest, without agenda. That may have saved us all from disaster." The next day, representatives from all Earth nations gathered for a unified approach. Commander Kira and her crew stood before the assembled humans as Olivia presented a joint proposal. "We offer to help you locate a suitable world outside our solar system," she said, "and we request knowledge exchange focused on sustainable technology and medical advances. No weapons. No military applications." Commander Kira conferred briefly with her crew before responding. "Your proposal shows wisdom. We accept these terms with one condition." The room grew tense as the alien continued. "Susan Blackwell will serve as the primary human liaison for this project. She understands both our needs and our intentions." All eyes turned to Susan, who sat stunned in the back of the room. Olivia looked surprised, but thoughtful. The request was unexpected, but not unreasonable. "Susan has certainly demonstrated unique insight into cross-species communication." Olivia acknowledged she would of course be supported by our full diplomatic and scientific teams. Susan found herself suddenly at the center of humanity's most important diplomatic mission. Her life as a simple research scientist was over. Now she would help shape the relationship between two species. Later, Commander Kira explained her request. "Your people respect hierarchy and titles," she said. "They would have dismissed you despite your wisdom. Now they must listen." Susan wasn't entirely comfortable with her new position, but she recognized the opportunity it presented to ensure peaceful cooperation. She threw herself into the work, coordinating between Earth scientists and the Xenorian crew. The joint team began analyzing data on potential habitable worlds outside the solar system, but close enough for the Xenorian colony ships to reach. Several promising candidates emerged: planets with appropriate gravity, atmospheric composition, and orbital stability. As the work progressed, Susan noticed a gradual change in the interactions between humans and Xenorians. Initial fear and suspicion gave way to professional respect and even friendship. Mary and Lara developed a particularly close working relationship, exploring the medical implications of each species. "Biology, your cellular regeneration capabilities could revolutionize human medicine," Mary told the Xenorian medic one day. As they reviewed test results, Lara tilted her head in the gesture Susan now recognized as interest. And your adaptive immune response could help our people survive on worlds with diverse microbial environments. A fair exchange. Not everyone embraced the growing cooperation. Diane Fletcher and her security team maintained a wary distance, monitoring the aliens with suspicion. Susan overheard Diane arguing with Olivia one evening. "They haven't shown us their weapon systems," Fletcher insisted. "They're hiding their true capabilities," Olivia remained calm. "They've been transparent about their propulsion technology, their medical knowledge, their agricultural systems. What more do you want?" "Everything," Fletcher replied bluntly. "Anything less is a security risk." The tension came to a head when Fletcher ordered her team to scan the Xenorian ship using advanced penetrating radar without permission. Commander Kira and her crew responded. 6 months after the Xenorians' arrival, the Europa base had transformed into a thriving international research center. Scientists from Earth worked alongside the alien visitors, sharing knowledge and building trust. Susan had settled into her role as chief liaison, coordinating the complex interactions between species. The Xenorian ship, now fully repaired, gleamed on the icy surface of Europa, beside the growing human settlement. The aliens had shared selected technologies, particularly in the areas of medicine and environmental science. In exchange, Earth provided detailed stellar maps and resources for the Xenorians' journey. Susan sat in the newly constructed observation dome, watching Jupiter rise over the horizon beside her commander. Kira stood in silent appreciation of the view. The gas giant's swirling storms created a hypnotic pattern of colors. "We have identified 3 potential worlds for your colony," Susan said, breaking the comfortable silence. "The science team believes the second one, HFY 9733b, has the highest probability of supporting Xenorian physiology." Commander Kira nodded, her upper eyes blinking in sequence. "We have reviewed the data. Your astronomers are skilled. The world you call HFY 899733b shows promise, though. We would need to establish terraforming outposts in its outer atmosphere." Susan had learned that Xenorians could survive in atmospheric conditions that would kill humans. Their homeworld Xenoria had a dense toxic atmosphere that served as protection from their dying sun's radiation. What seemed hostile to humans was comfortable to them. The journey to this new world would take approximately 7 of your years using our current technology. Commander Kira said, "Our colony ships can sustain our people for this duration." Susan felt a mixture of excitement and sadness at the thought of the Xenorians' departure. Despite the challenges of the past months, she'd grown attached to these alien visitors, especially Commander Kira. Their presence had transformed humanity's understanding of the universe. Their conversation was interrupted by Elena Rodriguez, the UN Special Envoy. "Excuse me, Commander Susan. The representatives are ready for the final treaty discussion." Susan followed Elena and Commander Kira to the central conference room, where delegates from Earth sat opposite the 7 Xenorian crew members. The room hummed with anticipation. This treaty would establish the first formal agreement between humanity and an alien species. Elena opened the session with a brief statement. "We gather today to finalize the terms of cooperation between Earth and Xenoria. This historic document will guide our relationship as we help our Xenorian friends establish a new home while sharing knowledge that benefits both our peoples." The treaty had 3 main components. First, Earth would provide astronomical data and material resources to support the Xenorian journey to their new world. Second, the Xenorians would share specific technologies focused on environmental restoration, medicine, and sustainable energy. Finally, both species would establish ongoing communication channels for future cooperation. As Susan listened to the formal diplomatic language, she reflected on how far both sides had come. The initial fear and suspicion had gradually been replaced by genuine collaboration. Even Diane Fletcher had softened her stance after witnessing the Xenorians' consistent, peaceful intentions. When the formal discussion ended, Commander Kira rose to address the human delegates. "There is one additional matter we wish to propose," she said. Her voice carried easily through the room despite its soft tones. "We request that a small delegation of humans accompany us to our new world as ambassadors and advisors." The room erupted in surprised murmurs. This was unexpected. The journey would take years with no guarantee of return. Elena looked startled, but quickly regained her composure. That is a significant request. Commander, what would be the purpose of such a delegation? Commander Kira gestured toward Susan. To continue what Susan Blackwell began, learning, understanding, growing together. Our peoples have much to teach each other. This should not end when we depart. Susan felt all eyes turn toward her. She hadn't known about this proposal but understood its importance. This wasn't just about finding the Xenorians a new home. It was about building a lasting relationship between species. The representatives debated the request intensely. Some saw it as an unprecedented opportunity for humanity to learn advanced alien science. Others worried about the risks of sending humans on such a journey. The discussion continued for hours without resolution. That evening, Susan found Commander Kira outside the base gazing at the stars. You should have told me about your proposal, Susan said, joining the alien leader. Commander Kira turned her 4 eyes focusing on Susan. Your reaction needed to be genuine. Your people trust your emotions more than your words. Susan considered this carefully. Why do you really want humans to come with you? The Xenorian commander was silent for a moment. In our long journey, we have encountered many species, some hostile, some indifferent, few truly kind. Your species, despite its flaws, has shown exceptional capacity for adaptation and empathy. These are traits my people value, traits we wish to preserve. Susan was touched by the admission. It was perhaps the most personal statement she'd ever heard. From the usually reserved commander, you would be welcome to join us, Commander. Kira added, her voice softer than usual. Susan looked up at the towering blue figure beside her. Leave Earth. Everything you know, the commander acknowledged. But discover what no human has seen. This is the choice explorers have always faced. Before Susan could respond, alarms blared throughout the base. Red emergency lights flashed. Security breach in Sector 7 came the automated announcement. All personnel report to designated safety areas. Susan and Commander Kira rushed back to the base, finding chaos inside. Armed security personnel were running toward the Xenorian ship. Several alarms sounded simultaneously. What happened? Susan demanded, grabbing Elena, who was coordinating the response. Someone tried to access the Xenorian engine room without authorization. Elena explained. 3 security officers are down. 2 of Kira's crew are containing the intruder, Commander. Kira moved with surprising speed for her size. Heading directly toward her ship, Susan followed, struggling to keep pace. When they arrived, they found Tella and Nari, the Xenorian engineer and weapons specialist, holding a human man at bay. The man wore a standard technician uniform, but Susan didn't recognize him. Commander, the intruder carried scanning devices specifically designed to record our propulsion technology. Tella reported. He disabled the human guards using some kind of chemical agent. Diane Fletcher arrived seconds later, weapon drawn. Identify yourself, she demanded of the man. The intruder remained silent, his expression defiant. Commander Kira studied him with all 4 eyes. This was not a random act, she stated. Someone sent him. Fletcher ordered her security team to take the man into custody. We will get answers, she assured the Xenorian leader. This violation does not represent Earth's position. The incident cast a shadow over the treaty negotiations. Security was tightened throughout the base. As the investigation progressed, it became clear the intruder had connections to a private military corporation with interests in advanced weapons technology. He had somehow infiltrated the international team. Susan worried the breach would destroy the trust she'd worked so hard to build. But Commander Kira surprised her. One individual does not define a species. The alien leader said when they discussed the incident. Your authorities responded with honor. 2 weeks later, with security protocols strengthened, the treaty was finally signed. The formal ceremony was broadcast to Earth, billions of humans watching as their representatives established first contact protocol with an alien civilization. It was a moment that would be recorded in human history as the beginning of a new era. As part of the agreement, A team of 6 humans would accompany the Xenorians on their journey to HD 189733b. The selection process would be rigorous, requiring individuals with specific scientific expertise and psychological profiles, suited for long-term space travel. Susan stood in the background watching the historic moment unfold. Elena approached her after the ceremony. "You should apply," she said simply. For the delegation, Susan looked surprised. Mielina smiled. "Who better you? Understand them better than anyone. And they respect you." Commander Kira specifically mentioned your name. The thought was both terrifying and exhilarating. Leave Earth travel beyond the solar system to an alien world. Susan had come to Europa seeking isolation after her broken engagement. Now she was considering the ultimate journey. "I need time to think about it." Susan replied. "You have 3 months," Elena said. "The Xenorians will remain here while we prepare the expedition. After that, they must leave to rendezvous with their colony ships." The next day, Susan received a message from Earth. Her parents wanted to speak with her. The communication delay made real-time conversation impossible, but they had sent a video message. Susan watched her mother's face appear on screen. "Susan, honey, we're so proud of you," her mother said. "Your father and I watch the news every day. It's still hard to believe our daughter is out there talking with actual aliens." She laughed softly. "Remember when you were 7 and you told everyone you'd meet aliens someday? I thought it was just a phase." Her father appeared next to her mother. "They say some humans will be going with them," he said. His expression was a mixture of worry and pride. "We know you're considering. We want you to know whatever you decide, we're behind you. 100% the universe is calling you Susan. It always has been." Tears filled Susan's eyes as the message ended. Her